Hello again, this is Tone Deaf Monk. Today I want to do a shootout, actually. Funny story is that Fia from SIMGOT, after my EW200 review came out, she kind of asked me, hey, how do you think this thing does against other IMs? And I said, I don't know, but I can put together something in a little box that I have of IMs and do a shootout. She said, that'd be awesome. And I said, just so you know, I'm going to be fair and all credit to SIMGOT. She said, you know what, that's nothing less than I would expect. And so shout out to them for actually, being brave and not being afraid of actually putting their gear up against others. That being said, let's see how the SIMGOT EW200 did against my choices. So, let me flip this around. Sorry for the horrible close-up. You gotta see more of my ugly face. I'm going to also do another shout out to Dan from Dan's Audio Reviews. So, a little thought process went through my brain and how I wanted to do a shootout. And I really enjoyed Dan's videos. Though I found these track impressions where he would switch from different IMs and he would give you a listen and then you would listen on your own gear, gave you a good sense of how they changed. But not really. What I really looked forward to more than anything was Dan's open, honest opinion about what he heard. And off his recommendations, I ended up buying, I think, my second IM, which happened to be an Eco OH10. And I love it. It's still permanently on a cable, and I listen to it still. So, thank you for inspiring me, Dan. I appreciate that. And I wish things could go back to the way they were. But again, I don't put songs on or play music because I get flagged from YouTube, and it's just not worth it. But I like the open honesty of listening to different IMs and then giving my impression. And I think this is different from some reviewers who go off of memory, or they have them. But in this way, what I've done is listen to. I randomly picked some songs, right? I used this as my transport, my HBB R63, and then I went to my Gishelli Labs and my Topping A90D. And I picked random songs on my track test playlist, and that's what I picked. So it wasn't anything particular genre-wise; it's just whatever that came up. And I thought that was random and it was fair. So that's what I did. So I listened to it there, and then I listened to it just on the HBB as well. And I used out of that an i-Fi IE match. It's like a sort of impedance adapter, but it smooths out the top end, and it would only really affect one of these IMs, which was the TRUTHEAR Zero Red. And since I didn't use the 10 ohm impedance adapter to boost the bass, I thought it was fair to use that. So that's how I came up with my shootout, and that's how I got to some track impressions, which I'll share. And let's just see how everyone did. And after me listening to, this is the hardest way to review things. It really is. And it's hugely time consuming because you're listening to the same track with 4 different IMs, 2 different ways. And typically, in order to get my impressions down, I would listen to the same track about 4 times. So 8 times each song. Twice. So quite a bit of time to get it down. But let's see how they did. Okay? So this is what happened. I went to this little box over here. A bunch of IEMs that I've kept that I thought I want to listen to one day and do some comparisons. And so I picked some that were in the similar price range that were also similar configurations. So I picked dynamic drivers. That's what I picked. I'm not going to match it up with a planar or a hybrid. I think that wouldn't be fair. So that being said, SIMGOT EW200, $39.99. BLON HBB Z300, $35.99. TRUTHEAR Red Zero, $54.99. And a KIWIEARS Cadenza, my top pick for under $50 in 2022, $34.99. Let's just start off with overall impressions here, shall we? So much better when you're not looking at my ugly mug. Now, EW200, overall impressions. I wrote some notes over here. Look at that. El Professional. The EW200, it needs literally half of the power of the other three. So I said it makes the best choice for mobile use. Overall tuning lends itself to a safe all-rounder, and the most likely to pick up on a daily basis. The EW200 has the best bass, so not only in quantity, but in quality. And it clearly shows the quality of this driver, that whatever they're using in here. The EW200 also has the best upper mids and highs, and that also comes out in the ability to present image placement and instrument separation and details clearly ahead of the other three in comparison. Now, BLON HBB Z300. So when I first reviewed this, my thoughts were the Z300 was a better, more refined cadenza. I still think that, but after listening and not listening to it for a while and then re-listening to it, I think overall I still prefer the cadenza. The Z300 is probably the most laid back out of the bunch in its tuning, and somewhere in this video I will pull up a graph and I will show all of those. Next up, KIWIEARS Cadenza. So my top pick for 2022 under $50. I had a couple of them. Gave one set away. I really like this IM. Well, maybe not as refined as the Z300. I believe it still uses a nicer driver. And the bass is snappier and more refined. It has that distinct beryllium sound of the drivers. And if you're not sure what I mean, it's worthy to pick one up, and it's a great example of how that does. It's easy my second choice for the group for value and overall tuning. There was a reason I thought the Cadenza was the best value under $50 in 2022. And now that has been uncrowned, I think, honestly, by the EW200. Now, this is not a shill video for SIMGOT. This is not a paid video. I don't get paid to do that. These are my honest impressions for these four, and I'll tell you why when I heard it. Now, the TRUTHEAR Zero Red, I think this set was the most organic, the most balanced, the most natural sounding of all the compared sets. I was worried to throw this one into the mix just because of the price factor is different. It's like $20 more than the other sets, but I'm glad I did. And why was that? Well, because I got a chance to deep re-listen to this one, and I really appreciate what it does over the other three in a different way. I think the price difference between the other sets and the red is worth the step up as an upgrade if you were looking for something different tuning-wise. Where I see the Z300, the Cadenza, and the E200 or the EW200 competing directly with each other. So the Zero Red is a different kind of tuning as well, and I'm not sure if it directly competes with the other three, and its price knocked it out of the price to performance equation. So, but it is nice to see how a less expensive stack or IM stacks up against a more expensive one. And that's kind of why I threw it in. But the red overall has the deepest, this might not make sense to everyone, the deepest, blackest contrast between the music and the background noise. It is more than noticeable and quite lovely, making it the set I would pick up for a reset set or a balanced option. How do I explain that? When you listen to a track, it's almost like the other three have some background noise that is adding to the overall mix, and then all of a sudden you put this in your ear, and you don't really hear anything. You hear absolute silence until it starts playing music. Hard to explain. That's the best way I can do it, but it's quite noticeable on the TRUTHEAR Zero Red. How would I rank the 4 IM sets together in this comparison? Well, overall tonality, I'm going to give that to the Zero Red. Number 2, the EW200. Number 3, the Cadenza. And number 4, the BLON. Bass quality, easily number 1. Bass quantity, again, hold on. Bass quality, number 1. Bass quality, Cadenza, number 2. Number 3, I give it to the Zero Red, though maybe not in quantity, but quality. And then 4th was the, BLON over there. Now, quantity, again, EW200 wins out. It was really an outstanding difference there. Number 2, I'm giving it, point to the right one, Monk. Z300 was number 2 for quantity of bass. Number 3 was the Cadenza, and 4th was the TRUTHEAR as well. So let's go to lower mids and vocals. Number 1, TRUTHEAR. Number 2 was the EW. It was close second. Number 3, the Cadenza, and number 4, the BLON came in last. Upper mids and vocals. Number 1, EW200. Number 2, the Red. Number 3 came the Cadenza, and last, BLON. Let's go to male vocals. Male vocals, Cadenza had the nicest male vocal reproduction. Number 2 was the Zero Red. Number 3 was the EW200. And number 4 was the BLON. So female vocals, EW200, number 1. Number 2, Zero Red. Number 3 was the Cadenza, and 4th was the BLON. So let's go treble. Kind of equate to the last segment as well, because more treble tends to lend itself to better female vocals unless it's overdone. So EW200 by far has the best treble. And this is, we'll look at a graph here in a bit. I'll pull that up. Number 2, surprisingly, is the BLON. I really like the way it presents treble. I mean, it's not maybe the most, but it's quality. I like the way it presents treble. Zero Red, number 3, and the Cadenza, which was its only real fault, I think, was its lack of high-end and extension and air, which is the next topic, which is, again, number 1 for the SIMGOT, 2 TRUTHEAR Red, Number 3, believe it or not, was the Cadenza, and last place was the most laid back set in the BLON. Stage 0 red was the nicest, followed by the EW200, and then the Cadenza is actually pretty good as well, and then followed by the BLON. Instrument placement. Number 1. Again, that lends itself to having more high frequency energy. You're going to get where you can pick out where the instruments are playing on the stage better. 0 red. Number 2, you're seeing a pattern. Cadenza number 3. BLON number 4. Instrument tonality. So 0 red, again, hits that one. Very close second. Cadenza 3, BLON 4. Overall value per sound, right? Easily SIMGOT EW200. I think this one, the TRUTHEAR 2. 3, probably the BLON, honestly. And then last place, the Cadenza, for value per sound. That's the way I saw it. Which IM would I most likely to pick up on the move? Again, that's easily this one because of its sensitivity. So easy to drive off a phone, off a dongle, DAC, DAP, whatever, right? An orange, it'll work. Chill session, 0 red for sure. Loud jam out session, toss up between. If I wanted something more energetic, I would go here. If I wanted more, louder session, and I listened to maybe some, something that didn't have a whole, I didn't need a whole lot of high frequency energy, I would pick up the Cadenza. Articulate detail listen, easily EW200. Overall, which one, if I had these 4 sitting and I had these are my 4 IMs, which is the most likely I would pick up over the others? EW200. So that's how I saw it. I am going to put up a spider graph, and you can see that, and that's kind of how I did it. And just let's do that, and I'll throw up the graph as well. So let's put that up there. And again, it's kind of a more visual representation of what I'm looking at here. And if you look at the overall blue, which is the EW200, it kind of circles around the other 3. And I'm not trying to push this IM. I'm not trying to hype it up. I'm just, let's go into some track impressions after that. Which other one did really well for me? I think the Cadenza did really well. If you look at this graph, the 0 red, again, some sections excelled for sure. And the Z300, probably it is probably the least likely IMs I'd pick up. I just don't think that one does anything special for me. It just doesn't hit a chord that makes my bell happy, right? So overall track impressions. These are just track impressions, not overall sound impressions. I gave you that earlier. What I thought the IM, how it sounded per track, and this was kind of interesting. So here again, I randomly picked some tracks from my test playlist. Playback twice from both sources. The Gishelli AKM J2 DAC and the Topping A90D balanced with a 4.4, and the HBB R63 balanced 4.0 with the iFi IE Match Pentacon adapter. Keep it down, puppy. Sorry. Okay, track number 1. Fluid by Yoshi Horikawa. And I don't know if you can see Kilo going over there. He's distracting. So it's the entertainment for this video. And so on this track by the talented Japanese producer, there are intricate builds of rhythms using both sounds of nature and everyday sounds in the music. It's really good stuff. Excellent recordings as well. So here the EW200 was the clear winner. Stage, instrument separation, dynamics clearly above the other three, and the bass absolutely slammed. So the Zero Red had the smoothest replay, the most balanced overall playback, but what really stood out on the Red was the blackest background. It's noticeable, and definitely the easiest to listen to out of all four. The Z300 here I thought was outclassed, except for the cadenza. The playback was smooth listen, really nice highs, but I found it had a little bit bloat, which I didn't think it had originally in my original review. But listening and comparing to the other ones, it's actually kind of noticeable. In the mid bass, I thought it was too thick, and it's noticeable. The cadenza here was outclassed by all of them, except for the Z300 in this track by all the others, and probably not made for this genre of music, and that's why it came in last in this track. So, show's over there, just sleeping. Okay, back to Monk. Take Me to Church by Hoser. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce your name, but that's how I'm doing it. Here I am listening to male vocals. So here my note said cadenza, natural organic, Z300 cleaner, more neutral, nice weight. The Red, most real, the nicest timbre, and the most natural. The EW200 was forward in its vocals. It sounded a bit thin and crisp. There you go. I had to get one of those in there. I think the winner for this track was clearly the Zero Red. It was the only IM that got the reverb effect, actually. And until I heard the Zero Red, I didn't hear this kind of reverb effect. So that's, to me, pulling something out of the track that was special. It was the only one that played back this track with the correct vocals and stage. It was really well done. So the EW200 was the most resolving. The cadenza was the second best for stage, and the Z300 again was too thick and had too much bass bleed. Number 3 track, here we go. There She Goes, actually, by Sixpence None the Richer. Here I'm trying to listen to the female vocals and the bass lines. On my notes of Zero Red, I had to say the second best, but the smoothest replay. Z300, nice vocals again, nice bass. Cadenza, not as good as the Zero or the Z300, and the EW200 female vocals and instrumental, as well as the balance with correct weight. The other three seem to be missing. Winner again. Snowman by Sia. Another outstanding, well-produced vocal female track. EW200, energy in the upper mids that you can hear is there, versus the bass is super nice as well, and the best vocal replay out of the four. Easy. Red, extremely well balanced, very well done, excellent black background. The Z300 vocals. I love the energy on the track on the Z300. Definitely more refined than the cadenza. And then the cadenza also had great vocals, but female vocals, the EW200. Number 5, Enter Sandman by Yonsan Na. It's an outstanding track. It's unique female vocalist, quite talented. This song brings out the nuances in her voice, the details of the track, and the correct tonality of not just the vocals but instruments. If the IM has resolution to do so, big point, right? I think overall on this track, the SIMGOT EW200 played this one back the best. It had very well controlled highs, and in some IMs that could get sibilant or shouty, it doesn't. So it's a good track to also test the highs of an IM and pushing it to its limits, really. The Z300 instrumental sound muted, as did her voice. Not a good replay on this track. TRUTHEAR Zero Red vocals and instrumental sounded great again, very smooth, and black background. The signal to noise ratio again is very noticeable. The CADENZA, better stage than the Z, but the two actually trade blows very much on this track. So, number 6, Beautiful Blue by the Tea Party. Yeah, I'm listening to rock. I'm listening to male vocals and overall playback, maybe at a bit higher volume with some more high-frequency energy, right? So first off, let's start with the BLON Z300. Here I saw it, playback was the most laid back. I think rock for this this genre works quite well for the Z. The TRUTHEAR came out second with better vocals than the Z300, but not by a lot. Differentiated itself. How? Was the great instrument separation and details. The CADENZA, I liked it over the Z300 on this track. Vocals, it sounded cleaner and crisper, but the highs on the Z300 were better. The EW200 had the best stage, best vocals, and the highs you could hear more details in the song. Again, where I thought all the other three missed out on the nuances. It just didn't bring the details that and the excitement to the rock music. The Z300, like for instance, you might have been able to play it loud in the CADENZA, but it didn't sound as close to true to life. How about the next one, Give by Niels Lofgren. In this track, it's exceptionally well recorded male vocals, guitar and drums. The EW200, again, clear winner, very clean female backup singers, perfectly toned. I think I listened to it last. I just had, and it came out, and then I had to re-listen to it for the other three, and I went, wow, yeah, you can totally hear the female singer backups where I kind of missed that with the other three. So the Zero Red here was the widest stage, and overall best vocals. The CADENZA, it was so tight. The bass, I love the Barry bass again, and definitely better than the Z300 for sure. The Z300, nicer highs again than the CADENZA, smoother as well. So that was kind of like an ongoing thing that I noticed. Let's throw this down to a conclusion, shall we? All right, well, it was pretty interesting comparison with the shootout. For some of these IMs, I actually haven't listened to in a while, but I had kept for a reason, right? I thought there was something about them that made me keep them. They were special in their own way. Well, maybe not so much the Z300. It was more of I have a BLON. I kept that one more for its looks and just for comparison reasons. It was the only one in the group that has not really wowed me in some ways like the other ones have. So With the 10 ohm adapter or the I-Fi IE match, all four pretty much have similar basslines on a graph, but this is where the similarities end, as the texture, the speed, the decay, they all sound quite different from all four drivers. The EW200 clearly stands as the winner in the bass category, as not only in its texture, the speed, the decay, the overall quality is outstanding, and lastly, the sheer quantity. From the sub bass to the mid bass, it's simply fun, not overpowering in the mix, and have no muddiness or bloat. The truly outstanding bass and is noticeable difference over the other IMs. You can clearly tell that the drivers that's using in the IE200 is using better materials. The Zero Red is also fantastic. They're using fantastic drivers. It's tuned differently and probably more special in its own way. Something about how it can separate noise from the music from the background and just play the music. It's interesting. When you do these kind of comparisons, you can truly appreciate, what they did with this one in the tuning-wise. I think in this shootout, the EW200 is the clear winner. I went into this with an open mind. I went into and ears, and I came out with a clear conclusion that the SIMGOT has, represented itself as the best value. What I'm comparing with the EW200's overall tuning, the ability to be an all-rounder, and the fact that it can be driven off anything, very low power, extremely linear, even when scaling up. So when you're putting power into it, how does it do? Does it get overpowered? No. It shines. It really does. You put some power to it, like anything, and it gets going. The TRUTHEAR Zero Red only shines. That's the difference when you put some serious power to it, and not everyone's going to have that at their disposal. And it simply doesn't play all genres like the EW200 does. The KIWIEARS Cadenza, for me, it really was best value, I thought, under $50 in 2022. I just think it's been uncrowned now. And the SIMGOT EW200, for me, represents the king in the budget category under $50 in 2023 so far. But that's my thoughts. And this is the Tone Deaf Monk, and I'm thanking you for watching my video. Greatly appreciated, and I hope you enjoyed. Thanks much.